that I live by. That's just how I do.
I'm Alvin Al Austin, Charlotte City Council District 2, born right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was born in 3rd Ward in a shotgun house. My father wanted a better life for his family, so we moved to an apartment that was 2 bedrooms, 5 people, but it was a good life. Started in Charlotte Mecklenburg school system. It was kind of tough. I was in a lot of remedial classes, remedial English, remedial math. But what they didn't realize and what we know now is that I had a little bit of dyslexia. And it wasn't until I met a wonderful teacher named Becky Witherspoon, who kind of helped me focus, helped me understand how what I was seeing and what my brain was interpreting might be a little different. From that point, life changed. I was put in advanced classes, and then I went on to not only be the 29th person in my class of 600, but I went on to college, got 2 degrees, one in criminal justice and one in sociology. So life was good. It was tough to start with. Also had to initially deal with whether or not I was gay at the time, really didn't understand it. Of course, you know, you go through that period where people are calling you names, but I got through all of that.
My name is Milton L. Howard, and I am from Huntersville, North Carolina. Came from a great family, very accepting family. I actually came out at about 15 years old. They were a little bit ahead of time in the sense that I could date guys or girls, and even at 16, if a guy wanted to come and pick me up and we went out on a date, that was fine. Same thing as if I dated a woman. From the time I came out in high school, all of my friends that played on the football teams, you know, they were accepting that if anybody say anything to you, you know, tell us and we'll take and, you know, handle it for you, so to speak. Everyone was accepting, and it was really weird for it to be, you're talking in the mid-'80s, you know, when there was no such thing as coming out. You know, there were guys that were in the closet. I just never had to live in a closet. It was always an open door. And I think what makes my story a little bit different is that, like I say, for both sides to be accepting, I was never told I was going to hell. I was never said that God don't like what you're gonna do. I never got that, never got that. And I mean, that's a phenomenon. When I had guys that lived in the same town that were gay, and it was like they had to hide. You know, as we got older, if they wanted to come out and party and all of this, you know, they would have to go to Atlanta. They have to go to DC. And when you tie in the fact that I never had to go through those kind of changes, I mean, it's just another part of the many blessings that God has given me in my life. I could not have asked for a better family.
Not only must you have the right kind of heart, you got to have the right perspective. You got to look at folk that others don't see any potential. And you got to look at them and see that God can work this thing out. You got to look at folk and you got to see potential where others only see problems. I wish I had somebody who could tell the truth, that somebody saw potential in you.
Childhood was pretty stable. I had a mom and a dad, both in the home. 2 sisters, nice neighborhood, I guess you would say. Grandparents were close by, aunts and uncles. So pretty strong family background. My relationship with my father was pretty good, but it gets better the older I get. Now, he died in 2002, and I didn't really understand him a lot. My father, however, was in the home, and I can say that he loved me a lot. Always motivated me, encouraged me, but he had a problem. I didn't quite understand that problem, but age is a funny thing, isn't it? So the older I get, the more I realize how it is to be a good man with a problem. My mother and I are still very close. In fact, my mom, if you heard the sermon this morning, my mother was the one that really motivated me to be better. And I'm thankful. So she really did encourage me, very supportive, worked 2 jobs, most times, sometimes 3, always found ways to give me nice stuff, always had nice clothes to wear to school, always had opportunity. I went to summer camp, YMCA summer camp for 2.5 weeks because she knew I wanted to go, and she arranged to pay $20 a week over like a 9-week period to pull it off. So very, very good woman who I love to death. She is still in my life, still in our life. In fact, she is very close to my spouse. They get along great, and just a good woman.
Tomorrow way too far away, and we can get back yesterday.
Oh, that's a loaded question.
And that was Reggie. I met Reggie at a club during a Thanksgiving weekend, and he was so out of place. He had on suspenders and a tie. We were up in a hot club. I was like, what is wrong with this dude?
All of them were great, real love relationships. I would say I've had great relationships. Not one stands out any more than the other than the fact that I do have my 2 sons from a marriage.
Well, let me be clear that in this lifestyle and in this community, love is often confused with a lot of different things. So went
over to talk to him, you know, kind of got his story, and he was kind of a fish out of water, didn't know what was going on. And we just struck up a wonderful friendship.
First love relationship, real love relationship, was the person with whom I'm married now. And that is my spouse, Terrence. And I would say that it took a while, a lot of mistakes to understand that everybody who smiled at you did not necessarily mean the best thing for you.
We ran a couple campaigns on the state level and the local level, and we were really, really engaged. And he said, baby, I want you to run for office. And I said, are you kidding me? They will never, ever, ever elect an openly gay man to city council, county commissioner, or anything.
All of my relationships, I've always been honest. If I dated a woman, I let her know that, you know, I did date guys at the same time. I'm one of those guys that I would give you the option. I do not believe in going into a relationship and being dishonest and not keeping it real, or 100 as they like to say nowadays. So with the marriage, she knew prior to us getting married, and everything was fine.
I had gone through several bad relationships and had come to the place where I had determined I'm not going to go down like that. I'm done with it. I'm content just being by myself. And so I reached out, met T, and we talked, text, emailed for months before we ever met. Must have been 2 or 3 months before we met. We talked every day, texted every day, emailed every day, shared stories, but no meeting at all for about 3 months. Then, the first time we met face-to-face was November 2012, the week after Thanksgiving. And we just continued our relationship. And now we didn't exchange pictures over that 2-month period. I had no idea how he looked or he how I looked, because I was determined this time I wasn't going to get caught trying to find something substantial based upon the accidental, not the essential. So that's my first love relationship. It does sound corny, but it's my story.
And about a year or two in, he started getting sick. And I kept going back to the doctor for just various illnesses. And come to find out, he had HIV and AIDS. And so it was kind of tough back then. This was in the early 90s when they had AZT. Not a good drug. I think it just destroyed him more so than anything else. But I loved that dude. So he didn't have insurance, so I went out and got a job. I got another job on top of my job, and I said, okay, I'm gonna do this job so we can buy the medicine so we can keep you alive. So I was working very hard, trying to keep him alive, but that didn't happen. He passed in the house, but we had a wonderful conversation. And he said to me, "You were the best thing that ever happened to me in my life." And so he went home to God. And, you know, my role in city council, I honor the fact that he believed in that. And anything that I'm doing now, you know, I just give honor to him trying to push me forward. And hopefully he's looking down and kind of proud of his man.
It has rebounded from, I would say, the early 90s. In the late 80s, early 90s, Charlotte's black gay community was in full effect. It was actually during that time that HIV came through, and it virtually changed the landscape of the city.
I don't particularly know a lot about Charlotte black gay community, so I gotta be clear to say that I have not been actively engaged in the Charlotte black gay community. Part of that is because I came to it from a traditional heterosexual relationship. And also I'm a pastor of a church. And so those dynamics made my coming to myself somewhat different and in some ways apart from the Charlotte black gay community.
By the time I was 28 till 30, I had lost probably 90% of my gay male friends. It was a very sad time. It was a very, I would say, it was like a darkness over the city for years. And here it is, you know, 2015. You know, the nightlife is a lot better here in Charlotte. I would say you have a lot more choices along with the freedoms of, you know, North Carolina approving gay marriage. So a lot of the things have changed. A lot has changed.
You know, I don't know if you can make an overall general characterization about Charlotte's black gay community, just like I don't think you can do the same thing with just the black community. Charlotte's come a long way. It has come a long way. You know, growing up here, being called names, to the point now I'm out and I'm an elected official representing a predominantly black community, and there are actually 2 of us on council. That speaks a lot about where Charlotte has grown.
But I can say that I have the privilege of pastoring persons who are part of that community. I myself am part of that community. And I think the issues facing us may be the issues facing all gay communities around this country and gay communities, period. How do we love ourselves enough to press on with life? And how do we learn that you can't make folk accept you but you can find strength to accept yourself and get on with life and living. My concern is too many of us spend too much time trying to get folk to love us and like us, that when that finally comes, we're too old to make a difference.
So for the black gay community, I kind of look at it as they're just generations of people here. You know, we got my generations, the 50 plus. You know, we kind of grew up where you didn't talk about it. It wasn't talked about in your family. We were the generation that kind of got the first hit of HIV back in the 80s as we tried to come out. So there are actually fewer people kind of in our age group because a lot of them passed. And then you have the generation of the 40s and the 30s. They lived through the AIDS and coming up with different types of treatments. And also a country that was kind of changing its mindset about who we are as people and our value to society. And then you have the millennials. The millennials are off the chain. They are coming strong. They're saying, you know, we're here, we're proud of who we are. And then we have the people here in Charlotte who are from other areas. And so they're demanding a dynamic too. So we have this various melting pot of people here. And as I said, we've come a long way here in Charlotte. And I'm proud of where we are. We still got a lot of work to do. We can have more cohesiveness in our community. We can be stronger as a black people, as a black gay people too as well. So we got more work to do. But how about the fact that now that we can get married and people are getting married, how about the fact we've got elected officials out there trying to make change through ordinances? How about we can now have good role models for all the people that are coming behind us so they can say, oh, you know what? They did it, we can do it too. And that's what I like about Charlotte.
The greatest challenge facing the Charlotte black gay community, I think there's many challenges, but one challenge I think is the challenge of accountability. I do think that we as black gay individuals need to find a way to be responsible and accountable for our own actions. I think sometimes it's easy to say that this group or that group is against us, but we have a lot of stuff internally that we have to also deal with as well.
Challenges facing the black gay community, I would say are many. I think the biggest challenge has been the impact of the hip-hop culture on the black gay community. In my generation, you know, everybody got along. I mean, everyone was peaceful with each other. If you had a problem with them, you didn't take it to the club. You know, you kind of squashed it like immediately, or you had mediators to squash that.
You know, there's still some negativity out there. There's still some churches that are delivering negative messages, families that are delivering negative messages. You get it on social media, TV, music, about who we are as people. And that's a negative spirit, and that doesn't do anything to help anybody.
As the owner of Charlotte's only black-owned LGBT bar, is that I think what we need to do is you build your community from the inside out. We want more support here. We're open to a variety of things. The size of Charlotte, instead of being open just 4 days, as many of the many gay people as we have here in Charlotte, the bar should actually be open 7 days a week. I think that one of the biggest challenges that I face has been the age discrimination thing. Like I said, I'm 48. So a lot of people think, oh, it's an older men's bar, or it's just an all men's bar. It's not an all men's bar. It's open to everyone. I just happen to be an older man that owns the bar. And I'm not so much as old, I'm more middle age. Blessed at that.
It's taken me almost 40 years to really say out loud and proudly that I'm gay.
What Powerhouse does out in the community, educating the guys, counseling the guys, providing the testing, providing the condoms for, that's something that is needed.
From a civil rights perspective, the words of a famous African-American theologian would call that an internal prophecy, where we prophesy truth to ourselves and tell ourselves we can be better, we can do better. I think accountability is one thing. The other thing is finding a way to get over the issue of sexuality. That sounds crazy, it sounds stupid, but here's what I'm trying to say. That at some point, who we are is who we are, and that can't change. And if we keep trying to waste our energy on trying to defend who we are, the real challenge is that once we're accepted, we don't really have anything going for ourselves. We haven't completed college. We haven't started that business. We haven't made those important life changes. Now, the struggle for justice and equality is important, and we need to mobilize ourselves and be united together to make a difference. But at the same time, I think we need to get on with the business of living our lives and affirming our truths and making a positive difference.
Say, bring back more of that love and compassion that was known before, where our relationships with each other, whether they were personal or just a friendship, consisted of more love and understanding and welcoming each other into our inner circle. I have two sons. I have Milton L. Howard II, and my youngest, his name is Connor DeLeon Howard.
I am the father. We have total 5 children that we parent together with, 3 from my previous marriage, and they are in our lives every single day, okay? And then we have 2 that we are foster parents for and hoping that that becomes a long-term commitment.
I'm not a father, but I'm a dad to many of the kids along Beatty'sford Road and now at Johnson C. Smith. I don't know if everybody's plan or God's plan is designed to have a child, but God has given me the ability now to help kids, which I've been doing since I've been to YMCA, and now at Johnson C. Smith. So I've got sons and daughters here. They're calling, Dad, this is going on. They actually call me Dad. And it's a good feeling because I can watch, when they're going down the wrong path and say, look, I need you to straighten up. I need you to do these things. So it's a good place to be. So I'm not a father, but I'm a good dad.
Being a bisexual father, I'm actually out to my oldest son, the 12-year-old, which was really interesting because one day he was upstairs and I felt something happened. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was like, he's in middle school, it's about time for me to tell him because he's starting to see things that he never encountered in elementary school. So the youngest one was downstairs and we were talking and I was like, well, Milton, I said, do you understand, what bisexuality is? And he was like, yes. He was like, told me a story about a kid that was at his school and someone had said something that was homophobic to the child. So the school actually called together an assembly in the gym and explained to him that, they will not tolerate, homophobic actions and things. And so I went ahead and I told him, I said, well, I'm bisexual. And he just looked at me and said, okay, which was really strange for him.
My daughter, she is 26, an Afghan war vet who just came back from active duty, who's now in the National Guard. She lives with us. And literally, she would talk to T before she talks to me. And my 2 sons, they are every day in our life. Either we're calling them, they're calling us. They go to CPCC, and Terrence and I are responsible for definitely every day taking them to CPCC, and some days picking them up. And when they need money, of course, they're always calling. They were here today. They already went home, but very, very active part of my current life.
So I think by the time we're completed with this story, I would have told my youngest son, because it's time to kind of start preparing him for the variety of people that they are going to encounter as they go through this journey called life.
Achievements would include my marriage, my children. It would include my church. And my church is an amazing story, because I would say that this has not been easy. And I have lost a lot of folk that just didn't get it. And I'll be the first to say also that sometimes I feel as if my people, some ways, tolerate and not necessarily head over heels in love. I feel that way sometimes. But even if it's toleration, I'll take that, because tolerance is the first step towards acceptance.
You know, I started thinking through my life. I thought through the fact that I was 29th out of 600 in my class at Independence High School. First in my family to go to college. Executive director of a large nonprofit, and now city councilman for the city of Charlotte. But through all of that, my greatest accomplishment, I feel, was finally acknowledging who I was and who I love. And
my greatest achievement is just to be alive. I mean, to have gone through the introduction into the world of the HIV epidemic, to have seen so many good people die, and to still have life, and to still be able to share love, friendship, with the public and my personal set of friends. Every day is a challenge. There is so much that we should all be grateful for. And I am grateful that I have been able to live out one of my many dreams, which is, you know, here at the Nickel Bar. And I just want to keep spreading that love that is so desperately needed by everyone, not just customers of the Nickel Bar, but the whole LGBT community as a whole.
But my church family has embraced me. They have embraced my spouse. They have embraced our family. And part of that is that it's been done with a sense of integrity. And they're able to see that this is nothing to be afraid of. When they probably heard that I had gotten married, I'm sure most folk thought, what does that mean now? Somebody coming here wearing a dress and all of that. And I'm not dissing my transgender partners and friends in our community. But for some folk, that was their first thought. So I think for them to see that I'm living my life in truth and authenticity, I'm not trying to make you accept or make you love it, but I'm not gonna hide nothing. I think that's been able to help St. Luke for the most part to realize that's Pastor, we love him, that's his family, that's his truth, and okay. But it's not been easy, but St. Luke as a whole has been very supportive.
God designed all of us, and he designed gay people for a reason and a purpose. And when I finally became my authentic self. I became free. And that freedom, I believe, has given light to so many other people just to be who they are. And that's a good thing. And that's my greatest accomplishment. I didn't understand many years ago why people had to acknowledge or come out. That doesn't make sense. But when I finally did it, yeah, that was good.
Oh, my next chapter in life is to continue raising my boys, turning them into the best men that I can get them to be, as well as with the bar, you know, it's time for me to kind of step back a little more and start turning it over to the younger generation and guide them in a more positive manner as to how to run the business, how to continue to have that welcoming factor, and hopefully retire to be a nice old man with my garden and my flowers, and maybe get lucky with that somewhere along the way.
In life, what do I know for sure? I know in life that God is faithful. And that sounds so absolutely what a preacher is supposed to say. But I'm telling you, if you would have seen the start of my journey to be authentic and see where I'm at now, you would know what I'm talking about. Because there's no way anybody can explain where I'm at, how I got here, how I'm staying here, unless you talk about a God who's faithful. Because honestly, I've blown it so many times. I've made so many mistakes. I have really abdicated my right to even speak in so many ways. But God is faithful, and He looked beyond my faults and saw my need, and He loves me enough to know, He loved me enough to know that my yesterday's mistakes were just that, yesterday's mistakes. So I know for sure God is faithful, and can't nobody take that from me.
Years ago, I was standing in the shower and I said, God, what do you want me to do? Just use me. Wherever you want me to go, whatever you want me to do, that's what I'll do. And so I have these conversations with my Lord, and I let Him kind of direct that. Right now, He wants me to be in Charlotte. He wants to be working at Johnson C. Smith University. He wants to be on city council. And so He hasn't kind of revealed what's next. But I got a sense that it's gonna be good, and it's gonna be great, because it's in His hand. Now, I would like to go spend some time in Europe, travel around a little bit, but we'll see how that goes. I'm sure God will work that out as well.
I argued with somebody years ago who tried to put the Bible on me to tell me what God was and what God was not. And I told them, I don't know you, but I've known God a long time. And the one thing you're not going to take from me is my God. God is faithful. That's what I know for sure. I don't know a whole lot of other stuff, but I know God is faithful.
The will of God will not take you, but the grace of God will not protect you.